One.
Good, how are you?
Good. All right. So yeah, there goes his things. I give you that. Yes, ma'am. So, like I said, specifically in the beginning, no touch, no talk, no eye contact. And the reason why we do that is because, he's going to, at some point, once he recognizes, oh, this is mom, I'm home, that excitement is going to come out, right? So, there's nothing wrong with an excited dog, right? We want a dog to express himself, but what we don't want is to not be able to control it, right? And that's obviously what we've been working on since he's been with me. So now you see he's starting to, that excitement starting to come out. He's pulling, he's jumping, right? So now this is the process that allows me to kind of show you guys in real time how to reel him back in, right? So, and this goes into that concept, I'm sure I probably said it on the videos, being able to allow him to fail in a controlled environment, right? Because what that allows you to do is, one, get control of him in the controlled environment. That way it's much easier for you to get control of him in the environment that you don't control when, a dog is coming. You never, those things you can't, those variables you can't control. But if you've built that relationship in the controlled environment, is much easier to have it in the environment that you don't control. Whereas what happens with most people, they don't build it there, and then when they come out here, it's like they lose all control, right? So, so now what we're gonna do, right? We're gonna work ourselves inside the house, but in between here and the house, I'll just be going through some of the concepts that you guys saw and heard in the video. That way, obviously, you guys can continue it, going forward, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing I'm going to ask him to do is pay attention to me, right? Now, I know he wants to get to you. What's going on, man? How you doing? Good. Everything good, man? Good to see you, man. Absolutely. So this is my wife. I'm sorry.
Hi, how are
Sheena.
you?
Yeah. So now what I'm going to ask him to do, right, is give me his attention. Because in order for him to get what he wants, I have to get what I want first, right? Because again, benevolent dictatorship is not that like Napoleon, where you see what I'm saying? It's not going to be like I'm not going to consider your feelings, right? But at the same time, you have to understand that the reason why I must control everything is because I'm responsible for you. You need to get out, man. No, you're good. You're good? Okay. The reason why is because I'm responsible for you, right? If anything happens to you, it comes back to me, which means everything I'm asking you to do and everything I'm telling you not to do is for your safety, right? So that's how we kind of have to look at it, because if we allow him to make the decisions, and obviously 9 times out of 10, he's probably going to make the wrong decision, right? So especially in the beginning, until they really learn the behaviors, we have to do a lot of micromanagement, right? To make sure that he understands that there's rules, boundaries, and limitations that you just can't, do whatever you want to do, right? So now that he's actually calming down now, because he's gotten to the point where he realized I'm not just going to let him get to you. So we can start making our way to the door. But like I said, in between time, you're going to kind of see how I correct him, because dogs are reactive by nature, right? We anytime if you listen to like a lot of dog jargon, you'll hear reactivity, and it's the what's the word the energy behind it is always negative, right? My dog is reactive on the leash, right? My dog is reactive to other dogs. Well, if you really think about a dog, they're supposed to be reactive. That's how God created them to be, right? Unlike us, we can think retroactively. We can think much more proactively. We can think 5 or 10 years in the future. We can remember what happened 5 or 10 years ago. Dogs don't have that ability. They're very much in the moment. And they have to be, because the example that I always use is, if you get a dog, right, that is hunting a rabbit, and they miss the rabbit, but it's 10 rabbits sitting right here, but they're sitting down thinking about the rabbit they just missed here, and they're going to starve to death. So they have to be able to forget in order to make sure that they can survive, right? God made them like that. So that's when people talk about reactivity, it's not necessarily that reaction is a bad thing. The problem is we have not set any rules, boundaries, and limitations to let them know which reactions are good and which reactions are bad, right? So that's really what we've been doing, is getting him to understand, like, no, that's not good, but this is good. And do good, you get rewarded, whether it's food, whether it's praise, whether it's affection, right? We give you reward. When you do bad, you get corrected, right? So yeah, so we can start making our way to the door. Any questions?
No.
No? Okay, yeah. So if you have any questions as I'm talking, don't hesitate to cut me off because the way my brain works, I'll just keep, spitting stuff out. So yep, so let's do it, right? Let's go. Come on, yo. Okay, so now you see he's starting to pull, right? That excitement is starting to build up because he knows he's going home, right? So now what I'm going to ask him to do, hey, get back on my page, right? Yoda, come. Yes, good boy, right? Sit. Good boy. Good. And now I'm just going to wait for a minute just to, let him get it out. Heel. Good boy. Good. Now, moments like that are important because if you let that anticipation and an anxiety build up, that's when things start to escalate. So in moments like that, you have to say, oh, hey, slow down. We're going to get there, but we're going to get there in my time. You see what I mean? Yeah, come on, Yoda. Yoda, come. Yoda. Hey. Now you see what I'm doing? I'm kind of tapping the leash, right? I call that the assertive tap on the shoulder, right? That's that form of tactile communication. And basically what happens is, just like humans, sometimes we get so excited about stuff, some of our senses kind of go out because it gets hyper focused on one particular thing. So right now, because he sees that door, he knows what's inside that door, his hearing is starting to go out, right? So once I notice, if I call his name once or twice and he, like, there's no response, like he's still pulling, right? I don't see his ears kind of perk up, which means I hear you calling me. I'm just a little excited, but I hear you calling me, right? That's when I get the tactile communication, because at that point, I know that my verbal is not piercing, right? And typically what happens is we get frustrated and we start getting louder. Yoda, 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 right? But what happens is that actually causes more issues because that creates more confusion in the communication, because now we go from calm to agitated and frustrated. And to a dog, agitation and frustration is confusion, right? So now he's excited. I'm sure he sees the dog, right? So he's starting to get excited. So all I'm going to do, right, is what I call negative reinforcement. So because I know he wants to go this way, I'm going to start going this way, right? So I'm going further away from the thing that he wants to get to until I can get his attention. Because what I'm communicating to him, as long as you are excessively excited, we're going to get further away. The calmer you are, then we can start going forward, right? So that's how I begin to let him know that, again, you get rewarded for the behaviors that I like, which means if you're calm, we go forward. You get excessive, we go back, right? So let's try it again. Good. Good boy. No, as long as he's cool, like he's not going to run out or anything like that.
No, he'll just be super excited.
Trained off.
That's cool. That's cool. As long as you're okay with me correcting him if he gets out of hand. Only because,
I can put him outside.
yeah, it's up to you. It's, yeah, okay. No problem. Yeah, no worries. No worries. Yoda, come. Yes, good boy. Yoda, come. Come on. Good boy. Yes. Come. Yes. Place. Sit. Yoda. Sit. Yes. Heel. All right, ready? Okay, cool beans. So another perfect example. You see how he's trying to shoot in that door? Can't allow it, right? Because he's going in under his terms, out of control, right? So even little moments like that, we have to rectify, because dogs are opportunistic, right? The more opportunity you give them to mess up, they're gonna take it, right? So now we gotta correct it again, Yoda. Good. Now, this is good, right? Because obviously he wants to go in. So now, through the tactile communication, all I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna fight him, because this is not my battle. This is him versus him, right? And the reason why I say it like that is because I don't take this as, why are you fighting me? You see what I'm saying? I take this as, oh, you're excited to go in? Okay, cool. I'm not mad at you excited for being excited. But what you have to learn is, you're not going to go in under your what's the word? Under your terms, right? You're gonna go in under my terms. So until you understand that, hey, guess what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna keep the pressure on the leash, and I'm not even pulling the leash. He's pulling the leash. All I'm saying is, hey, we gotta go this way. So until you make the decision to come this way, this pressure is gonna stay on the leash. Now, once you make the decision to come this way, right, then you're gonna get good boy. I know you much rather get good boy than feel this pressure, right? But hey, you're the one putting the pressure on yourself. It's not me. Does that make sense? Yeah. So now it takes the empathy out of, am I hurting my dog? Because in reality, you're not hurting him. Is it comfortable? No. But guess what? I'm not comfortable either, because you're pulling me. I don't like that. Does that make sense? Yeah. So now it's like, okay, well, guess what? I don't want you to pull me on the walks, because if you see a dog, right, it may be a situation where you may not be holding the leash tight enough. We all do it. Maybe on the phone or something. He take off in the middle of the street. Guess what can happen, right? So that's why I always try to give those live examples to explain how important something as simple as this translates to that, right? So all I'm going to do is slightly put pressure on the leash, right? And wait for him to make the decision to come this way. And they're always going to escalate higher before they come back down. Good. Now, the beautiful thing about this is, I know I'm going to win. It's just a matter of, do I have more persistence than him? And most times we don't, because we let our empathy take over, right? Because we see this, right? And we think, oh my God, I'm hurting the dog. No, you're not. He's rebelling because he knows most times when he starts doing this, he wins. We give up. Now what I'm telling him is, that doesn't move me. That doesn't, hey, look, you can act like this if you want. It doesn't, this is on you. You figure that out, and I'll be chilling here until you figure it out, right? So. And every 10 seconds or so, I might apply a little bit more pressure, right? Because he has to learn, the more he fights, the more pressure is going to be put on him. I know. Yoda, come on. There you go. Good boy. That's a good boy. That's a good boy. Okay, Yoda, come. Now, I truly believe that's the Cocker Spaniel in him. Because I think I told you guys, my first dog was a Cocker Spaniel, and he was the same way. He was one of the stubbornest dogs. I don't know if that's a Cocker Spaniel thing, because many people don't have Cocker Spaniels anymore. But my Cocker Spaniel was the same way. Like, he was the most stubborn dog I ever had. Outside of my Chinese Shar-Pei. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Chinese Shar-Peis. They're like, they're the dogs with all the wrinkles. They look like Chow Chow's, less hair with a whole lot of wrinkles. Yeah, they can be very stubborn too. Yeah, all right, good boy. Right? But excuse me, but did you see how, as long as you're more persistent than him, you're gonna win every time, right? You just have to, like I said, he's gonna take it up, because he has to. The only way he can take it back down is if he gives it all he got, right? And he knows most time, again, if he gives it everything he got, because it looks so, to us, it looks so bad, it's like, okay, you win. But they know that, right? So now we have to start letting them know, that does nothing for me. I know it's performative. I know I'm not hurting you, right? It's performative. But once he gets past it, eventually he'll say, okay, you know what, let me just go with the pressure because I can't win. So, yeah. Good boy. Yoda, come. Come on. Good boy. There we go. Yes, there we go. Good boy. So you see how that works now? I stop, he stop. So now, again, it doesn't take long, right? It's just that first 1 or 2 times, they're going to give you the most fight.
Yeah.
But after that, you're like, okay, I give up. What do I have to do to get in there faster? Yeah. Okay. Come on. There we go. Good. Okay. You guys need to take my shoes
No,
off.
you can keep them on.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
Unless you want.
Good. Good. So, any questions on anything so far?
Not yet.
Okay. Not yet. No problem. No problem. So, is there anything specific? Good boy. Hey, there we go. Good boy. Is there anything specific that you can think of that you would like to work on in the moment? Any specific behavior, like anything?
Really, it was just like the pulling on the leash.
Okay.
Was
Okay.
the one main thing that was frustrating.
Good. Yeah. Yeah.
Just like his response, like from distractions. That's basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Responding when he's distracted.
When he's distracted.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's perfect example of
Yeah.
what we just did, right? It's just kind of, it's resetting the brain, right? And again, how you do it is important as well, right? Because like I said, when he's in that excessive or elevated, excited state of mind, you know, words are very, until he develops the respect for your words, right? In the beginning, you have to use that tactile communication, which one of the best ways is the leash, right? Oh, shucks. Of course you would do that. Well, he was in the car for a long time.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah. So that tactile communication, right, is how you reel it back in when his brain is just out of control. So yeah, it's just a couple of pops on the leash, right? Or sometimes I may even touch him with my hand, right? So it's just to break that excessive state of mind. Now, here's the key thing, right? So perfect example, right? Yoda, yes, good boy. Now, the moment he turns around and gives me his attention, let's take him for a walk, because I know he was in the car for a minute. So I think he might have to use the bathroom. Come on. Yeah, because we had 2 other drop-offs before.
It's been on car for like.
Yeah.
Sorry to ask. Is it okay to move the car real quick?
Yeah,
I just need
for
to
sure.
sneak out.
Want me to hold?
Yeah, hold him real quick, and now let me move him.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Good boy. Sit. Good boy.
Your eyes.
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
Our son loves all the little dogs.
Go for a walk to kind of show you the leash etiquette, right? Yoda, come. Good boy. So, anytime I start out a walk, I start out with what I call a structured walk. And basically, it's exactly what it sounds like. So as opposed to what happens most time when you take the dog out, you just kind of allow them to figure out what they want to do, right? So when we come out initially, right, I might let him use the bathroom, because most times when he's coming out, he has to use the bathroom. So I'll give him a couple of minutes to kind of get that first pee out. But then after that, everything is on my accord, right? So as I'm walking, the moment I feel uncomfortable is the moment I stop and correct him, right? Now, for everybody, that's going to be a little different. Some people like the dog, right next to him. Some people are okay with the dog walking in front as long as they're not pulling, right? So you can kind of determine what's good for you. Neither one is best, right? Or neither one is wrong. It's just what you feel comfortable with. Now, what we've been working on is him staying next to me, right? But again, the rule of thumb for me is, what do you feel comfortable with, right? So as we're walking, I don't like a dog pulling me, as most people don't, right? Now, so the moment you start doing this, right? Nope. Now the reason why is because, not that smelling the tree is bad, it's because he's making the decision to do it. Because that tree could be a squirrel, that tree could be a dog, right? I didn't give you permission to go greet that dog or whatever it may be, right? So now, being that he made the decision to go smell in that tree, which, let's be honest, there's nothing really important there, right? It's just him being a dog. So the goal is for him, matter of fact, I put it to you like this, right? If you've ever watched National Geographic, anytime the wolves go on a hunt, right? You never see one of the wolves just kind of divert and go smell a tree. They have a directive, right? Now, the rest of the wolf pack may not necessarily know exactly where the alpha wolf is leading. Their job is to follow, right? His job is to follow. Of course, he doesn't even have the ability for me to communicate where we're going, right? So it's a need to know basis, right? My goal may be just to get across the street. But if you keep doing this and doing this, that's adding extra stress and extra time that's unnecessary. I just need you to follow me till we get to that point. So that's what I'm thinking about in the structure work. So as we're walking, right, all I want to do is walk, get to the destination, right? As soon as he starts, nope. Yoda, come. Place. Sit. Good boy, right? That's the reset. Then we heel, we start walking again, right? As soon as he gets off track again, we reset, right? So he's starting to get off track. Hey, nope. Yo, come. Place. That's it. Yes. Sit. Yes, good boy. I wait for a minute just to give yourself time to, because sometimes you're human, right? Your feelings. So you give yourself time to calm down, and also give him time to see if he complies. And what I mean is, sometimes he'll sit and he'll get right back up. So now I'm actually testing him again in a controlled environment, right? To see how long he's going to sit here until he makes the decision to move. And sometimes I'll literally sit here for a minute or 2 minutes to see how long it takes for him to move, just so I can correct him. Just to remind him, hey, I didn't ask you to move yet. You see what I mean? So sometimes I will literally allow him to mess up just so I can correct him. Right? And again, that's practice. You see what I mean? So I tell people all the time, people ask me, what's the best time to train? Every day, all day. Because that's life. You can't predict when certain things are going to happen. So in order for him to learn, in order for him to realize he can't predict, right? Because dogs, their time, yes, good boy. Their spatial awareness and their time awareness is much better than we give them credit for. They can literally time how long it takes for you to give in. Again, that goes back to their predatory nature. They have to have that because they have to be able to predict, oh, if the rabbit is running this way, it makes no sense for me to go where he was. I have to go where he is. You see what I mean? So all of that plays into their ability to predict when you're going to give up. So that goes back to the door. I know if I throw this temper tantrum for about 2 seconds, they're going to give up. So now it's like, oh, they're not giving up. It throws off their ability to predict you. You see what I mean? So you have to become unpredictable so you can predict what they're doing. Right? So, yep, Yoda, come. Good boy. So now this is instructor walk. Now the next phase in instructor walk is you giving him permission to go off and be a dog, right? But again, it's on your time. So now it's like, Yoda, come, good boy. So now you allow him to smell, right?
Yeah.
So now he can do whatever he wants in this time until you say, okay, it's time to go.
Yeah.
So that's how that works. That's how that works. Any questions on that?
No.
Okay. So here's what we can do. You can try it.
Okay.
Yeah. There you go.
You want me to greet him or no?
Not yet. Not yet, only because if you start out in work mode, it'll be easier to continue that. Yep, yep. And I'll let you know when the the physical greeting, you can communicate with them verbally, but the physical greeting is the next step. So yeah, I'll let you know when it's time. Yeah.
Yoda, come.
Now he's been working on the left side, so 9 times out of 10 he's going to naturally go to the left side.
Okay.
Yep.
Sit.
Yep. Just slightly hold the leash up. There you go.
Good
Then release it.
boy.
Now, yes, the most important thing about that pressure is as soon as they do what you ask them to do, the praise comes and the pressure goes away.
Okay.
Yep. I call that concept picking up the telephone and hanging up the telephone, right? So if you had to call me and ask me a question or give me some information, you pick up the telephone, right? You lift up the leash, you tell me what you need to tell me. Then once I confirm that I understand, you hang up the phone.
Right.
Yep.
Do you use heel for like let's go?
Yes. Yes. Yep. You can do come, you can do heel. Most times it's heel,
Okay.
but either way, they both work.
So then he's veering.
He's kind of veering. So what you do is, and I didn't do this the last time, right? So if he veers off, now a couple of things. Remember, allow him to fail in a controlled environment. So when you were holding it here, right, you were trying to prevent him from messing up, right? Remember, avoidance doesn't equal compliance, right? So trying to avoid or prevent him from messing up by restraining him doesn't help him learn that he has to constrain himself.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So as we're walking, right, if he starts to veer off, and this is where you kind of use your discernment based on where you're walking, because there's a couple of different ways you can do it, right? I might just totally turn and go the other way and don't say nothing, right? And once he gets to a point where he's veering off again, I'll turn again, right? Now after about, you see he's boom, I'll turn again. So what's going to happen, right, is he's going to learn, like, I can't predict what she's doing, so I have to pay attention to her, right? Eventually, what you're going to see, right, is he's going to start looking at me and turning on his own. You see what I mean? So now, as opposed to him saying, normally she just lets me go. Now, I really have to pay attention to what she's doing. Again, pack leader. Because when the pack leader turns, there's no signal light. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's no hand signal like, hey, we're going this way. You got to pay attention.
Yeah.
Because if not, you're going to get lost. Right? So now, as we walk, again, allowing him to fail in a controlled environment. I'm literally testing to see if he's paying attention. And he's not, I'm going to give him a surprise. Right? As soon as he gets here, oh, another surprise, he's turning again. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm literally knowing that he's not paying attention, but I'm allowing him to kind of hang himself a little bit so he learns. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
There you go.
So you said.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's a hard, and you can do it on the right side. It's not, the reason why I do it on the left side is because most people are right-handed.
Yeah.
So it logistically speaking, it actually makes more sense to hold it in your left hand. That way, if you got to make a phone call, keys, and
Yeah.
So that's typically why I do it on the left side.
You're a sit. Good boy.
Good. Now remember, release it. Yep. And being that he's on your left side, put it in your left hand. There you go. And get it all the way at the end of the leash in your left hand. Yeah. Because remember, avoidance doesn't equal compliance. You see, I know that's a hard because you're so
It
used
is,
to,
it's- yeah.
yeah,
It's like a natural.
exactly, yeah. But remember, you have a leash on him, so he can't really do much.
Yeah. Heel. Sit.
Good.
Good boy.
Now, also another variable I'll throw in there, I'll do a little jog.
Okay.
Just change the pace of the walk. Because again, all it's really doing is teaching him to stay on your pace.
Yeah.
Good. He's veering off. Now you can turn, yep, and go the other way. Now to go, yep, you keep walking. Remember, you're the pack leader. Don't wait on him. You see what I mean? Okay, turn and go the other way. Now, what you're trying to create with that turn is what's the word I'm looking for? You're trying to create a moment where he physically feels like, oh, shoot, where you going? So, if you notice when I turn, right? So I'll show you. I'll prepare for that moment to kind of give him that little, hey, I'm over here, right? So we're walking again. If he doesn't turn, hey, I'm over here. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't allow it to get all the way to the end of the leash where there's no slack. I wait for that last moment where it's still a little slack left. And once that slack is almost going, I'll just, hey, I'm here. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to create in that U-turn, what we call a corrective U-turn.
Sit. Good boy. Heel.
Now test him out. You stop. If he keeps going, you tell him, good boy.
Good boy.
Yep. Tell him good boy again.
Oh. Good boy.
Yep. And the reason why you tell him good boy is because he stopped.
He stopped.
Yes.
Yoda, come.
Tell him good boy.
Good boy.
Yep. So there you go. And if you notice, we haven't even left barely the front of your house.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So it's not necessarily, people say all the time, you know, I take him on a 2-mile walk and he still pulls me. It's because you didn't engage the brain.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Once you engage the brain, the physical, everything else comes after that. So it's not, my father used to always tell me, it's not how much time you have, it's how efficient you are in that time, right? So just in this space, you've done more than most people do in 2 miles. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So now, this translates to the 1-2-mile walk to where he's under control, right? So it doesn't take much space. It's more so about how are you engaging the brain on the walk.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So much progress.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's all communication.
Yeah.
It's I tell people all the time, in order to make the dog smarter, we have to become dumber.
Yeah.
Dogs are very simple. Humans overcomplicate things way too much.
Yeah.
Because we have the ability to think. Unlike they have it, they just don't have it obviously as nearly as much as we do. So sometimes we are so smart, we forget that these are dogs.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Like, it's a dog. It's
Yeah.
not a human, right? And what I'm saying is we tend to think that they're smarter than what they are, but then we don't give them credit for the smarts that they do have. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So once we learn, like, oh, wait a minute. And this is why I use nature all the time. And this is honestly where I learned a lot of dog psychology is from watching dogs
Yeah.
and see how they communicate with each other. Looking at National Grid, looking at how wolves communicate to each other. They don't really use words like that.
Yeah.
We associate feelings with words
Yeah.
because we're more verbal than they are. They are physical. They are visual and they are auditory. But auditory in a sense, not with words, with tonality. You see what I mean? So tone means more than the actual word. So, and a perfect example is no compared to no, right? Two totally the same words, two totally different things
Yeah.
for a dog,
Yeah.
even for a human to a certain degree. But because we associate the feeling with the word, we still know no and no.
Yeah.
It's still different, but we know the end meaning is the same. To them, no is like, oh, okay, you mean business.
Yeah.
No, it's like I can still play, I can still knit. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So tonality means more than the actual words. So yeah, so that's really what it boils down to is just are we communicating with the dog properly?
Yeah.
And once we do that, then we get the results. So yeah, yep. Oh yeah,
I'm excited to start using this.
Working it, yeah.
Working it in, yeah.
yeah. And we're actually, I'm gonna put this on YouTube. So once it uploads, I'll send you the link, so that way you have access
Go
to
back
it.
and watch it, yeah.
Absolutely. And remember, you have 3 follow-up sessions.
Okay.
So what I normally tell people is give yourself a week to 2 weeks just to kind of work what we've been working on today. And then once you get comfortable with that and, perfect it to a certain degree, then we can take it to the next thing. Now, obviously, in between that week to 2 weeks, if you, kind of hit a hurdle, you can always reach out to the WhatsApp group. That doesn't go anywhere as long as you keep the app on your phone.
Okay.
So you can, message me through that anytime if you have any questions. And, that way, obviously, we keep the progress going.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have one question.
Sure.
If he, let's say he's like outside and he's putting or picking stuff up in his mouth, how would you suggest
With that, tap
just
on the
to,
leash.
to tap on the leash?
Yep.
Okay.
Nope. Now, the key thing with that, and this is really with any behavior, the easiest way to stop a dog from doing something is stop them before they actually do it. So this is where you kind of have to get hyper aware, especially if you know he's going to pick up something. If he has a propensity to pick things up on the walk, you kind of keep your eye on him and see when he's starting. You can tell when he's starting to go for something. You can see he puts his head down. He has those physical communicators to let you know he's eyeing in on something. As soon as you see that, hey, nope. So then you don't have to have the fight of trying to get it out of his mouth, because once it's in his mouth, it's a different fight. You see what I mean? Now you can get it out of his mouth. It's just a different level. Now, he's a dog. He's small. He's going to see things before we see it sometimes, right? So then the question is, if he already has it in his mouth, how do we get it out? It's a couple of different ways, right? So leash pressure, right? So if he has it in his mouth already, now I'm going to say this. I don't want you to, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want you to take it as, I don't want it to feel as barbaric as it sounds, right? But the reality is, he cannot chew and breathe at the same time, right? Now, when I say that, what do you think I'm saying?
To pull on the leash so that he has to drop it.
Yes, but it's not necessarily pulling. Again, it's just letting him know, hey, and this is where leash pressure, you have to, there's levels of discernment, right? That you have to, because obviously you don't want to choke the dog to death, right? That's not the goal.
Yeah.
The goal is to communicate to him, hey, you're doing something egregious, for lack of a better word. So the punishment or the reinforcement for that, what we call negative reinforcement, has to match that, right? So you have something in your mouth that, one, depending on what it is, because we don't know what it is, and we need to get it out fast, right? Because we don't know what it is. This punishment equals that behavior, right? So if he has something in his mouth, because I know physiology tells me he can't swallow if he can't breathe, right? Now, typically I use that for bigger dogs, because obviously bigger dogs, more physical, stronger, and it's much harder for me to grab their mouth and open it and just take it out, right? Smaller dogs, you can just kind of open the mouth and take it out. But the problem with that is that doesn't teach them that it's wrong to put it in their mouth in the beginning, right? So to teach him that it's wrong, right? When I see, again, preempt it, that's the best way.
Okay.
But we're gonna mess up. He's gonna get things. You just simply hold it and say drop it.
Okay.
And you just hold it up until he drops it.
Okay.
Once he drops it, again, pressure goes away. Good boy.
Okay.
Because that's how you teach drop it.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So again, it's not about yanking
Yeah.
and like hanging them. You see what I mean? It's more so about, hey, you got to drop that.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if it's an extenuating situation, is that the right word?
Extenuating
wife is
circumstance.
Intense.
Situation,
she's my,
circumstance. If it's,
thesaurus.
yes,
She's
if
your
it's a
words.
more.
Yeah. If it's one of those like serious situation, you just go in and get it,
Okay.
right? Especially if you can see what it is and you just go in and get it. But that's how you teach him the drop it command.
Okay.
Yep.
A lot more simple than we definitely make it to be.
Yeah, I told you. It's dogs are very black and white. We add all the gray.
Yeah.
Dogs are very, either it is or it isn't. Because again, in the wild, they have to be like that. Because once they start thinking too much, they die.
Yeah.
That's why they're reactive. Because they just react. There's no, should I run? Should I go?
Yeah.
Either they're gonna run or they're gonna fight. There's no, you see what I mean? So they have to be like that. So yeah, that's why I said we have to, in order to make them smarter, we have to get dumber.
Yeah.
And then as they get smarter, we can kind of start being humans again. You know what I mean? So yeah.
And then, do you suggest when we're taking him out, just like during the day,
Okay.
to put a leash on him, or?
You mean, say that again.
So usually when we let him out during the day, we'll just
Okay.
let him in the yard, like with no leash.
Like in the front yard?
Where we live in the backyard.
Okay, got you. So, but there's a fence.
There is a fence,
Okay.
and we stand there with him, and when he's done going to the bathroom, we go back inside. But do you suggest to put a leash on him for?
Are you having issues with getting them back in the house or anything like that?
It's the picking, like
Picking
bunny
stuff up?
poop up,
Ah.
and then Daniel's grandpa
Okay.
throws food out there for like
Okay.
the raccoons, and so
Okay. He feeds the raccoons?
yes,
Okay.
yes, he's the raccoon.
Okay. So this is where I would say retractable leash.
Okay.
Because what that allows is still have his freedom, but you still have instant access.
Okay.
So now here's the trick. He's never, especially if it's food, he's probably never not gonna pick that food up. Well, I can say this. Can we train him? And this is what we kind of call poison proofing dogs, right? Can you train him to not pick the food up? Yes. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. You almost have to present food that's just kind of out and about as like the worst thing he can do,
Okay.
right? But that takes time. So in that situation, the easiest thing to do is to have the retractable leash and keeping an eye on him. And when you see him going, hey, nope.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the easiest thing to do in a situation like that.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's where also what you can do to kind of follow up with that is knowing that there's food out there, you have food in your hand. So now when you tell him no and you tell him come, you have something more valuable to offer than what's out there.
Okay.
And eventually over time, the importance of what you have will be more important than what's out there.
Okay.
And that will lead to you not having to have a leash on, because now you've programmed him for so long to where when you see him about to go for something, hey, Yoda, nope, come here, and he's just going to automatically come because you what we call shape that behavior, but again, that comes with practice. So yeah, so you can do that too. Just have a bag of treats,
Okay.
wait for him, again, fail in a controlled environment, knowing that he's going to do it, be ready, hey, yo, nope, come, right? Good boy, and give him that treat. So it's like a trade-off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we'll have to do that.
Yep. Yep.
There's always food in the yard.
Yeah. Then you know, maybe someday we can get Grandpa not to.
We told him
Yeah.
because obviously we don't want him to have like art, like human poop.
Yeah.
But he's stubborn old man.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Not right now.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, no problem. No problem. Like I said, reach out anytime. I did give him a trainer's bath.
Okay.
You know, obviously it's not as good as a groomer's bath.
No, we appreciate it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, absolutely. Now we gave you his stuff, right?
Yes,
Okay.
it's inside.
Cool beans. All right.
Thank you guys so much.
Pleasure.
You're
Any
welcome.
questions? Don't hesitate to
Nice
reach out.
You too. Yes.
And we'll be
Bye,
talking
Yoda.
soon.
Okay.
All right,
Thank
guys.
you so much.
All
See
right.
you later.
Bye.
All right, folks. That's how you do it. Next video.